Straight ahead on 12 News, a big cup of coffee competition in New Hope.
We're putting in our hearts everything we have into this right now.
How a family-owned store is preparing to compete against three of the biggest coffee chains in the country. Plus, a discussion about guns coming to a Golden Valley church. And a dog that came to the rescue now needs some rescuing of its own. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. New Hope is becoming a hotspot for coffee shops.
A half-mile stretch of 42nd Avenue is home to Caribou Coffee, a Starbucks, and by the start of next year, Dunkin' Donuts will join them.
As Delane Cleveland reports, family-owned Mountain Mud is also part of that group, and they are making big changes to compete.
Mountain Mud has been a staple in New Hope for the past 8 years, serving up coffee, food, and a little hunka burnin' love for all the Elvis fans.
It's been such a success for us.
Mayor Kathy Hemken couldn't help falling in love with the family-run business.
I practically live at Mountain Mud, quite frankly. I don't have an office at City Hall, so I come here a lot to meet constituents, and it's a nice quiet place to have coffee. Everybody knows what Mountain Mud is.
But it's certainly not the only coffee shop in town. This vacant lot may not look like much, but in a few months it'll be home to a new Dunkin' Donuts. It's right down the street from Mountain Mud, and staff members there are well aware of the competition.
You have two options. You're either going to throw the towel in or you're going to keep going.
For owner Mary Ellen Everhart, the mantra is don't quit.
I knew Dunkin' Donuts was going to be going in, and I think that's great for the area as well. And again, there's another coffee opportunity. But I also knew that I still have the food, so I had to expand that one more time. This is all of our top shelf liquors.
In order to stay competitive with the other coffee shops nearby, Everhart made a $30,000 investment, which includes a new bar, a deep fryer, and a liquor license.
We needed to make that one more plunge, and that's where the bar came in.
This week marked the grand reopening of Mountain Mud and Nico's Bar, which means specialty drinks, extended hours, and an expanded menu along with a larger workload for Everhart and her daughters.
Well, probably for a while, I know.
Yet Everhart says it's a sacrifice worth making as the family business enters this next phase.
We're putting in our hearts everything we have into this right now. And I feel very confident that it's going to go really well.
In New Hope, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Mountain Mud plans to have drink, food, and entertainment specials throughout the weekend to celebrate their grand reopening. Meanwhile, the new Dunkin' Donuts is expected to open in early 2017.
A slowdown in casual dining is blamed for Ruby Tuesday's decision to close its Plymouth and Champlin locations. The restaurant chain is closing a total of 8 locations in the Twin Cities. Only 4 will remain: Edina, Roseville, Shakopee, and Inver Grove Heights. The company says it will try to relocate full and part-time workers to those remaining stores. The restaurants that are closing were all considered underperforming. Meanwhile, in Maple Grove, we now know what will replace a former Gander Mountain store off of Elm Creek Boulevard. City building officials say a store called Five Below is moving in there. It's similar to a dollar store, except everything is under $5. A tile shop store is also moving into that spot, located between Barnes & Noble and the Dress Barn. A Golden Valley church plans to start a conversation about a very controversial topic.
In 2 weeks, Valley of Peace Lutheran Church will facilitate a conversation about guns. Reporter Shannon Slatton has more on why they're taking up the topic.
Valley of Peace Lutheran Church is active in social justice ministries like fighting hunger or poverty. But a mass shooting in June sent shockwaves through the congregation, urging them to tackle the topic of guns.
We woke up the morning of June 12th to learn of the shooting at the Orlando nightclub, and that was the day of the Golden Valley Pride Fest, which was the first ever suburban Pride Fest. And we were having a worship service that day.
So the church reached out to the Minnesota Council of Churches to have what's called a respectful conversation about guns on August 31st. That night, 12 trained facilitators will lead conversations in small groups. The church says this is not a time for people to be emotional, but instead learn about different opinions where everyone has a chance to speak. They hope the event attracts people on all sides of the issue.
If we all come in on one side, it's going to be a lovely conversation. We might learn some things, but it's hard to grow if you're not facing something that's a new way of thinking for you. And so we really do want people on both sides of the topic, and we are not telling people how to think.
The event is planned at Valley of Peace Lutheran Church for Wednesday, August 31st from 6:30 to 9 o'clock. If you do plan to attend, you can sign up on the church's website or Facebook page. Mike and Alex.
All right, Shannon, thank you. The Osseo Water Tower is only a few steps away from being listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
And the next hurdle happens on Monday night when the Osseo City Council will vote whether to submit the nomination to the State Review Board. A historian from the State Preservation Office and an architectural historian will be on hand to answer council questions about the significance of the tower and the process moving forward. For the past 3 years, volunteers have led the effort to have the tower listed.
It's recognizable. People talk about it, and people love it. It's just this emotional icon.
So far, the city has received 2 grants for preservation efforts. If the state approves the nomination, it goes to the National Park Service for final approval, which would be expected by January. In Plymouth, a new housing development is proposed in the northwest corner of the city. 67 single-family homes are proposed on a 30-acre site by the Maple Grove border. The project will eventually include the realigning of County Road 47 to provide safer curves. No timeline has been set for the road improvements. The city's Planning Commission is recommending approval of the preliminary plat and rezoning of the property.
A dog that was credited for saving a little boy's life a few years ago is now fighting for its own life. 3 years ago, a pit bull named Tater Tot sensed that something was wrong with a 4-year-old Brooklyn Park boy. It was the middle of the night and the dog alerted the boy's mother. By that time, the child was barely breathing and he was taken to the emergency room. Well, the child is doing fine now, but the dog has been diagnosed with lymphoma, a form of cancer. We are told the outlook, though, is good as Tater Tot undergoes 19 weeks of chemotherapy. The cost of that treatment is expected to hit $7,000. And so far, more than 100 people have donated $3,500 to a crowd fundraising website called You Caring. Coming up, our Brooklyn Center home turns 100 years old and what the owners did to celebrate.
And then a little bit later in sports, we pay a visit to Totino-Grace in our prep football training camp report.
But first, the heat backs off a bit. Friday will be cloudy and rainy with temperatures only reaching the 70s.
Welcome back. A Brooklyn Center couple did something amazing to celebrate their house turning 100 years old.
12 News reporter Sonia Goins goes in the garden now to show us this unique birthday gift.
Been here in Brooklyn Center since '91.
Jill Dalton and her partner Jack McMillan call this their centennial garden.
We can sit out here and chit-chat and say hello to the neighbors.
They spent all of last summer constructing the garden and patio area.
We populated it with 100 shared plants from the community.
This actually took us 2 months from conception to what you see here.
All 100 plants came from friends and folks in the community.
I'm big into reduce, reuse, recycle, and I just like the idea of recycling plants.
Hosta Heaven, the plants are perfect for the shady garden. They also use annuals to make the area pop with color.
A lot of begonias to bring in color and some impatiens to bring in color too.
Another unique feature is these historical markers.
The cairns go back thousands of years and they're used in many different things. Some people use them to mark graves.
There are 3 cairns in the garden.
We're using them here to lead a path, which is very common in hiking areas.
The avid gardeners want the public to enjoy their handiwork.
That's why we built it in the front instead of in the back, behind a privacy fence and all that. We wanted it to become a part of the community.
But their backyard is pretty awesome too. More hostas, ferns, and begonias are scattered throughout the yard.
My goal when I moved in here was every summer to change one area of grass into a garden, and I have done that successfully every summer.
Climbing ivy on the side of the house also makes a statement. Both Jack and Jill say their garden gives them a sense of peace.
I feel like when I get my hands in there and get them dirty, I'm connected to Mother Earth.
In Brooklyn Center, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
Wow. The couple says they spend an average of 10 hours a week pulling weeds and deadheading plants, which I suppose is one reason it looks so good,
Right.
but another reason mine doesn't.
That you don't do that, right?
Can't do that. But that looks great. Fantastic. Coming up, a Brooklyn Park youth pastor finds herself in a competition on national TV.
But first, Terry Tuma talks about some new products to help you catch some fish. John Jacobson has that and more coming up next in sports.
Back to football and opening day just a couple of weeks away now or less?
2 weeks from today, from Thursday, yeah. That teams are
getting
getting
ready.
ready.
Here we go.
And they put the pads on today for the first time. Totino-Grace's 2015 football season ended just a couple of plays short of the Prep Bowl. A last-minute loss to Osseo ended their year. While the 2016 Eagles say that's behind them, there are plenty of guys back who could help put together a long playoff run. Here's today's Prep Football Training Camp report.
It should be a strong season for Totino-Grace football. Of course, you can say that pretty much every year. The Eagles have won 88% of their games since 2002. That winning tradition is likely to continue. The Eagles returned 15 starters, including 9 on defense. How much depth is behind those starters, though, is a concern.
For the size of school we are and the competition we play, everybody's got their challenges. Every school does. That would be our particular challenge, I think, was we just don't have a lot of guys.
Among the starters back are co-captains Charlie Waters at linebacker and free safety Joe Russell, who will also see some time at wide receiver. Both players were named All-District last fall. The pads went on today. The Eagles are trying to get everyone in the right places for their opening game in 2 weeks. Game experience gained in 2015 should be a big help.
It helps a lot, I think, especially for the younger guys who will be filling those positions we lost last year, just to look up and see that people know what to do in those situations.
It's awesome, you just get all the guys are back from everything. It's been a long summer, you don't get to see everyone, so it's great to get everyone back together and you can just start working.
On the offensive side of the ball, the Eagles return their entire backfield. Kyle Halverson at quarterback, halfbacks Ivan Burlak and Gayfor Flomo, and three-year starter Brady Bertram at fullback. How well the offensive line comes together will be something to watch for early in the season. The first game of the year for Grace is at Eden Prairie, a team the Eagles lost to at the beginning of last season, but later eliminated in the Class 6A playoffs.
It'll be interesting. Never played at EP, but it'll be fun. Good opponent to start the year with. It's fun to play good teams like that. We've moved up a couple classes in the past years, but that's kind of what we look forward to, is a big competition.
Here's a capsule look at Totino-Grace. Jeff Ferguson begins his 15th year as head coach with a career record of 159 and 21. Total 15 starters are back. Again, the season opener, a tough one at Eden Prairie on September 1st, Friday. A look at the Armstrong Falcons. A lot of new products for anglers will be hitting the store shelves soon. On this week's Channel 12 Fishing Tip, Terry Tuma talks about just a few of them.
I recently returned from ICAST, which is a worldwide trade show relating to fishing and fishing products. With these products, now, first of all, it's not open to the consumer. It's only open to the manufacturers and buyers in retail stores and so forth. We'll talk about some of these products. One is Fireline, which is by Berkeley, which we're all very familiar with, the braided line, which is now enhanced with metered, colored in 10-yard interval, colored sections. We're all familiar with lead core. This is going to be similar to that. It's going to be excellent for long lining crankbaits. It's going to be extremely productive for vertical jigging, so give this a try. It's going to be out in the stores very, very shortly. Then, of course, Rapala, again, introducing a lot of new products. The Shad Dancer, which is sort of a combination of a shad wrap and a tail dancer. We're all very familiar with the tail dancer, of course. And then a lot of enhanced new products with colors and so forth, designs, and then of course the Shadow Wrap Shad Deep, and then they have come out with what's called a flat jigging wrap, so to speak. It's a flat-sided, it's heavier, not a much bigger profile. It's going to be ideal for ice fishing, current areas, deep water fishing for walleye. So that's one new product also. And then of course too, Daiwa has introduced some new rods, new reels. A couple of the reels, the Zillion and the Steez, are now you're able to cast 1/8 ounce lure lures without a backlash, and also 6-pound test line, which is a little bit unheard of with bait casters. A lot of new products. Watch for them in your local retail. I think you'll be impressed.
Thanks, Terry, and that's a look at sports today.
All right, thanks a lot, John.
A Brooklyn Park youth pastor who you have seen here on Channel 12 can soon be seen on network TV.
Pastor Sunday Burquest of Living Word Christian Center has been cast for the 33rd season of Survivor. The new season was filmed in Fiji, and you may also recognize Sunday for her money-saving tip seen here on Channel 12. This particular Survivor season comes with a new twist. It pits Generation Xers against millennials. The new season debuts September 21st. And still ahead, seniors make their mark on the runway.
Latest fashion show in Maple Grove when we come back. A taste of Cajun country will make its way to Golden Valley. The Golden Valley Rotary Club is hosting a crawfish boil to raise money for the Prism Food Shelf. It takes place Friday night from 6 to 9 p.m. at Brookview Park. Tickets purchased in advance are $50 for ages 13 and older. Walk-in tickets, $60. Kids 12 and under are free. Price of admission includes all you can eat crawfish, corn, sausage, and spuds, plus incredible bourbon bread pudding. For more details, go to goldenvalleyrotary.com. And finally, move over. Christy Brinkley and Giselle Bunchen. Maple Grove has its own top models.
That's right, and they are not afraid to strut their stuff in the latest fall fashions.
She has their chiffon trim cardigan over a layered zigzag top and completes the look with Dress Barn's Secret Agent slim fit black pants.
That is Mavis from Maple Grove sporting the latest looks in this year's senior fashion show. Around 30 seniors volunteer each year to model clothes from Maple Grove businesses, and yes, men walk the runway too. It's become a popular annual event at the city's community center, and it includes a luncheon beforehand. For 66-year-old Shelley Nerdahl, walking the runway and modeling clothes from Express makes her feel like a kid again.
Isn't that the dream of every 12-year-old girl, to model? And at 6'2", and I'm 66 years old, I'm living the dream. So it's fun.
The volunteer models can buy the clothes that they fashion today at a discounted price. And the city's Park and Rec Board came up with the senior fashion show idea after seeing the popularity of their teen fashion show, which, by the way, kicks off this evening, Thursday at 6:30 at the Maple Grove Community Center. They had a good time over there.
A lot of fun. I think some of the guys got the biggest applause, didn't they?
With the fedora, yep, tip the hat. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we'll see you back here again Friday starting at 4.